F3 Nation coming at you for the first episode of the Dark Six video podcast here. And gentlemen, here we are, as if we were gathered together for a traditional meeting, but we're going to broadcast it for the PAX because that's what this is about. It's about opening the veil up, opening the kimono up, as my man Rapido would say if you listen to the COT podcast.
As long as Carm's wearing underwear this time.
Well, he stays sitting in that chair. You don't have to know. Let's go around the horn, introduce these men. Part of this shared leadership team for the nation. These guys do yeoman's work for you guys to ensure that you can continue to crush it at the regional level. And let me start with Frank Schwartz, better known in the F3 Gloom as Dark Helmet. What's up, Helmet?
Hey, buddy. Frank Schwartz, 46, Dark Helmet, president of F3 Nation. My priority is to make F3 great, continue to be great. You know, we're not doing that. I don't know. Yeah. No. You guys know what I do. It's not a lot. Right. It's not a lot. High glory to work ratio, as I like to say.
It's quite a bit more work than he might let on, but appreciate you, my brother. It's good to see you. You look good.
I feel good.
Good.
Double knee surgery in, you know, and I've been posting and going to PT and doing all the things and mowed my lawn last weekend, and life's good, man. Life's good.
We're going to come back to that knee surgery here in a second. Let's go to Eric Nowak, better known as Gobbler across the F3 Nation. What's up, Gobble man?
What's up, Kitty? How you doing today?
Doing well. Introduce yourself for these men if they have not met or heard you, but chances are you've stopped through their town at some point.
Yes, that's very possible. I have stopped in, I think the count is up to like 20 regions or something. Eric Nowak, 41, Gobbler. I am the nation's weasel shaker, and my job is to coordinate our efforts. The meeting schedule, one of my big things is I try to make sure that we are balancing the amount of work that each of us is doing so that the meetings flow together and decisions can be made. And then I kind of also try to coach the other weasel shakers informally through the Slack channel. So that's what I do.
You're the man. Let's go to GMO, checking in from St. Louis. What's up, Steve Schaefer?
What's up, Kitty? Steve Schaefer, 56, GMO. And these bolts, this is a Frankenstein thing that I do at my sign up. It's a Frankenfood, Frankenstein, GMO. So you know. So I'm head of U.S. sectors, and our mission is to coach, coordinate, and synchronize regional and national efforts to really have impact on our F3 regions and to really impact our communities. So I work with 6 sector Qs, and we're working on getting more proximate, setting up calls, conversations, hearing where PACs are, what assistance they need, what advice maybe we can offer up, but really engaging in a lot of initiative and encouragement and exhortation.
Love it, man. Part of what we're going to be doing here through this broadcast, through this medium, one, just add more content to share with you guys. You've shown us over the past year or two that when we create cool content, you guys are willing to gobble it up. And so what we thought was, let's get this group together. Let's share about the things we're seeing from the nation level, things we're working through, issues that we're seeing bubble up through the sectors, the GMO. And that's why that's designed that way. That's why we've taken this big, massive country of ours and we're starting to expand into other countries. And we've divvied up into sectors so that way you guys can funnel things through to each other. You can help each other, but then you can also funnel it up to where maybe the nation can help you as well. So a big part of that is what expansion has looked like. And there's David Kelly, better known as Bing. What's up, my brother?
Hey, brother. Good to see you again. David Kelly, 47, Bing. Q of expansion here for the nation. And I'm really glad you put that interlude between GMO and I.
Segue.
I don't use big words like GMO does, and I was afraid I'd look really dumb right behind him. But expansion is my biggest word you're going to hear today. But at the end of the day, I'm here to help the guys of the nation set themselves up for success, to help us fill in the map. We thought the map of the U.S. would have been a great thing just to fill, but as you've probably all heard lately, we're going international in many, many places. Much more so than we thought. I've got a great team. I almost call them a staff, but they might get insulted by that. But a great team with me between Dilly Dilly and Tool Time, but also the troubadours are really critical to mention in this, because the troubadours are the guys that really lock shields and work with the individual guys that are launching and provide a huge resource. So expansion is hot and heavy right now. We are one region shy of 200, and there are a few out there that are festering, but we're going to get there. We're probably going to get there by the end of this week, and but that's expansion for you.
At last check, I saw the number was rapidly approaching 50,000 packs, if not more. Those 200 regions, 250,000 packs by 2025. I know it's etched on the heart of you men here on this call and many of you guys that are watching. So I'm going to task with that. Let's go to the guy who really is the Wizard of Oz. We might as well rename him the Wizard of Oz at this point. Because where in the world is
I'm in
Carmen
favor.
Sandiego? But the last time I checked, he's the man behind the curtain, right? Bart Dreyer coming out of from the great state of Georgia.
Yeah, Bart Dyer, 40, Carmen Sandiego. Yep. So just kind of handle all the nation technology, which is a little bit separate from region technology, which is something I'm sure we can elaborate in these calls in the future. But yeah, just kind of handle all the websites, anything that's database form related for the nation, and kind of giving the various leaders the tools that they need to try to succeed.
I don't aim to introduce myself here, Helmut. So would you mind taking over for a moment?
And last, but certainly not least, the helloest of all kitties. He is the head of communications for the nation, which includes everything from the podcasts to PR to the newsletter to the socials to you name it. This guy's got his finger in it. Bing, I saw those eyebrows. But we all know him. We all love him. He's also the host of the, as we like to say now, the F3 Nation podcast, the COT, which is now, obviously far surpassed the 43 feet podcast.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Podcast. There's still a lot of clamoring for the old days. Remember when? But that's why I asked you how you felt. I have a big announcement later this year. That's why I asked you how you felt.
So I have a big announcement here in a couple of weeks that everyone should be pretty excited about. Absolutely. Regarding podcasts and regarding the what will no longer be a clamoring, but will be an absolute just decimation.
Brian Jodas 40, Hello Kitty. Dude, exciting things happening across the board as it relates to all things F3 and the things that we get to see. This is a quick episode we're going to do today, just a chance to introduce the idea, introduce you to these men. And yeah, odds are you've heard or seen or talked to these guys before, but thought we'd do a little bit of a primer episode here to set the stage for what's to come and what will be real intentionality around what we're creating here for F3 Nation. Helmut alluded to it, but we're looking at daily podcasts coming your way in the next few weeks. And things like those archive 43 feats, things like COT, things like leadership conversations, things like health and wellness and stuff worth trying. And we're going to dig in to some new topics. And we thought, let's get these 6 high impact men together and talk about issues that we're kind of seeing bubble up every few weeks. And so, Helmut, why don't you tell these guys a little bit about what they're going to see and hear from us on this platform once every other week. We're going to drop it into the newsletter, and that's where this is going to live. And you guys are going to get a chance to see and hear from us then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thinking, Gobbler and I were on the phone and he had a really good idea. And I was like, you know what? I think that's something that could work. And he had the idea that, what if we, because one of the things we struggle with is helping guys feel connected to something bigger than themselves. Sometimes we struggle to answer all the questions or connect to the packs. And I mean, the chances are good that, we joke about Carm being the guy behind the curtain, but I mean, he's like behind every curtain, but it's good to have a name.
Don't open that
face,
door.
Right?
Don't open
What's
that
that?
door. Do not open that door.
Do not. But it's good to have a face to put with a name and that kind of thing, and be able to see and see how the kind of the inner workings a little bit of the national leadership team of F3 Nation kind of works, and with that, we sort of, he was like, hey, Gobbler was like, how do we answer some of these questions, and how do we get some of this culture, drilled down, and how do we do some of these things? And he and I just kept talking, and he finally popped out and he said, what if we just made it a podcast? What if we just stuck it on video? And I was like, that's not bad. And so of course, what do? I call Kitty and he says, we could put it in the newsletter. And so, then all the geniusry sort of happens around me. And then I get to sit back and go, I've come up with another wonderful idea. I hope everyone can enjoy this, but what we really want from the men, and we'll answer one here in a quick second. I think we have a question that's kind of out there, but is really, we want you to ask us questions. We want you to hear from us. And we're not going to agree on everything, and we're going to have a little bit of a fight about it maybe. And we're going to show you, what that looks like when we disagree on the internal, with what we call the dark 6 or the internal leadership team here in F3 Nation. So we want you to see that. We want you to know what we're doing. We want you to see how an SLT functions, what we do. And there might be things in there that are worth using. There might be things in there that you go, well, I'll never do that. Those guys are idiots, right? And all that's great, but we want to kind of just continue to bring this down to that region and just that real local level, and just connect with you guys, because by golly, you're the men that we serve and we love you and we want to do that. So that's kind of what it's about.
And one thing that'll be interesting is not only just from the lens of, the positions that we've been asked to assume here for the nation, that we all have different roles, but you're also looking at three guys that are actually relatively well separated from each other, proximity wise. You've got the metro area down to the fort in South Carolina, so not too far, right? I'm here in central North Carolina. Gobbler's all the way out on the West Coast, Pacific Northwest. Carmen Sandiego's down in Georgia. You've got Bing all the way down in Florida, and then GMO's right there in the middle of the country. So you're also likely going to hear different regional perspective as to, well, here's kind of how we do things where we're located, from that standpoint too, which should be pretty neat. Should be pretty cool.
I agree. And I hadn't really thought of it until you said that just now, Kitty, that, none of us even live anywhere near one another.
Yeah. Yeah. We're the closest, you and I, at 2.5 to 3 hours.
And you're
away.
almost to my threshold of I'll fly there. I'm not driving. Almost.
That's right. That's right. We've got a quick amount of time on this first episode, about 6-7 minutes left before we wrap this one up. So let's throw a question out there, because one came across your inbox, Gobbler, that we thought, hey man, let's jump into this a little bit and give a little perspective and kind of see what we think. So why don't you lay it on us?
All right, let me bring it up here. If I paraphrase, I'll butcher it. So
hey, while he's pulling that up, Carm, how fast could you get D6, the letter D, the number 6, D6 at F3Nation.com, so these guys could submit
and every
emails
variant,
for us?
deep 6, dark 6.
All right. We'll get it done before the questions fully out of Gobbler's mouth. So
that's pretty much how it always goes with Carm. Like, hey, I got an idea. And he's like, I've already
Monday.
built 6 of them.
It's already done, right?
All right, Gobbler, what do you got?
So I got a question. This came across the Weasel Shaker channel on the 27th, so just a few days ago. And I like this question because it kind of speaks to a lot of topics around systems, processes, unintentional consequences, all kinds of stuff. But the bottom line is, you've got a guy who is he's trying to do a good thing, and so he asked a question, and which is what all of our packs are trying to do. It says, brothers, any guidance on your regional requirements or suggestions before hymns of the packs go through Q school? So just kind of what he's basically asking is, do any regions put any additional requirements on packs before they're allowed to go through a Q school? Q school being, as I understood the question, a formal instruction period for packs to learn how to queue a workout. So that's the question.
It's got a bit of a mixed egg feel there to it, doesn't it, Helmet? Sure do like it.
does.
What do you think, GMO?
And I think it's open to all men. I think it's a great way to model maybe what goes on behind the scenes, how you plan a workout, what the thought process for delivering one, what you do to follow up, how do you keep guys engaged, how do you spread the culture. I would say as soon as possible, just pull in the packs and show them what's going on behind the curtain, and then force them into kind of practicing it, encouraging them to lead a couple of the workouts. I think it's a great model to get engaged as soon as possible. Yeah,
I'd care to bet if you as a region threw Q school on the calendar once a quarter, with the amount of guys we're seeing come through the doors these days, you're bound to gobble up guys that would want to attend one or hadn't been to one yet, or whatever. And again, it's a lot of kind of what works for you.
Kitty, you keep saying gobble up, and it's starting to make Gobbler get a weird look on his face.
Has he got a look on his face?
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
I'm going to strike it from the
but,
vernacular the rest of the conversation.
Good luck.
You bring up a couple of good points there in my mind anyway. And one of the things we talk about sometimes is what we're supposed to do is pair men with opportunities to lead as quickly as possible and as often as possible, right? And as a site Q, you ought to be looking at the guys that show up at your site, and you ought to be going, what's the next leadership opportunity that guy needs in order to continue to accelerate? As an Nantan, I'd be thinking the same thing. As a sector Q, and as president, I'm looking at these other 5 guys. I'm looking at pretty much anybody that I come across and going, what's the next leadership opportunity that guy needs in order to accelerate? If we're here to invigorate male community leadership, what does that look like? And we all know that leadership development process begins with schooling. So in my mind, I mean, you want to make sure he sticks, right? You don't want to be like, oh, hey, you were an FNG yesterday. By the way, you're going to Q school tomorrow because Monday you're in.
Right.
Be a little quick,
Right.
right? But after, I can't imagine after a couple of weeks, a month, something like that, And I love the idea. I don't know, maybe a lot of places do it. We don't do it so much around here, but I love that idea of kind of a regular cadence of, whoever said it, quarterly or whatever it was, or monthly or however often you hold a Q school. I think it's
I think we see them pop up, once or twice a year around where I'm at. But man, just given what numbers look like, Bing, I mean, what you guys are doing expansion wise, you got to think that there's just going to be more opportunities to host these bad boys. And it's right. Helmut's point, like it's an opportunity to lead and to learn. It's an opportunity for guys to lead that school. And you might find your next SLT member by empowering some of your really good first F guys that are really good at Qing workouts to then run the Q school that might become your first FQ down the road too.
I think we've seen in some of the regions I've come across, we see Q schools that are extremely informal and sometimes one-on-one. You got a guy that wants to step up and, wants to have his VQ, next week or the week after. So someone's got to sit down with that guy and kind of give him the 1-2. And that's a lot of what's happened in my home region. Whereas the formal Q schools, they haven't really caught wind. And part of it's because a lot of our guys have Q'd, but it's a great reminder of why they're queuing and what does cadence mean? What is, all the important steps along the way. So I really, I think putting them on the calendar and having a normal cadence of them is important. And, but I think also being flexible, because if you got a guy who's on fire, and we've had those guys, we've all seen those guys, they show up on day one and you think, is this guy done this somewhere else? Is he hiding it from us? You can't put a number on when that guy's allowed to queue, and you can't put a number on a day on when that guy's allowed to attend Q school. And if Q school isn't scheduled for another 2 months and he wants to queue in a week and a half, then be prepared to teach that guy and walk side by side with him.
Just don't let him fool you into thinking that his tattoo means fitness, fellowship, and service. Don't buy that.
I believe somebody actually used the appropriate phrase in a text today. And so.
Inside joke. Carm, what do you got?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and you know what? You can always still point them to the website. If they want to start getting their feet wet, we got a lot of really good resources at f3nation.com/Q. The content is there. It's got all the resources. You've got good reading resources written by Dredd and OBT. You've got all the supplementals that are running on the side. And, if he's really itching to get rolling, that's a great place to start until he has to wait in the event that you don't have a Q school coming up right away. Good place to whet an appetite.
Does anybody else groan when a VQ goes, I went to the Exicon, and that's how he starts his Q? And you're like, he just starts quoting off exercises. You're like, what is that? Or is that just me?
And how bad is it going to hurt? Yeah. No, definitely.
We got a few guys that are good about pulling other stuff out, because then otherwise it's like, we're going to do 5 Merkins down here and 5 squats here and 5 LBCs over there, which, by the way, it's exactly what I called this morning. So not a lot of originality on that one.
One of the things we've done recently too is have started second FQs and third FQs at a group of AOs that are close together. So you certainly have the one that's at a region level. A lot of times we talk about first F queuing around the fitness, but I think if you think about it as a leadership opportunities, we got a couple guys maybe aren't great with the kind of leading a workout, but are certainly good leaders. So we've started kind of expanding the concept of Q school into educating them as to all the opportunities to step up and lead.
Yeah, well said. All right, if guys have things they want to submit to this show so we can cover them every few weeks, Carm, what do you got for us? I know you've been diligently working the back
D6 at f3nation.com.
That's the letter D.
Delta 6.
And the number 6.
Yeah.
Correct.
D6.
D6 at F3 Nation.
I thought he was going to say D's.
I
thought the same thing. I thought for sure that was coming out.
It was on everyone's mind. It's okay. Keep moving on.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up for this one. We got a short one to get these guys acclimated to what we're doing and what they should expect in the future, because I think we got a few guys you got to get to a few other meetings today as the Mammon calls. Any final thoughts, men?
So I'll throw something out there real quick. Just whenever a leader puts in a rule or a barrier or a guideline, what I would challenge guys is we all know why we're doing it. We all know what the intended consequence is. Take a step back and ask yourself, what is the unintended consequence? Because every rule, guideline, decision builds your culture positively or negatively. If you haven't defined your culture, You can't evaluate whether or not that decision is going to help it or hurt it. And while it might seem good, if it goes against the culture you're trying to build, you better take a step back and ask yourself, do you really need it? Can I get to where I'm trying to get in another way? Is it really worth it? Or do I have to mitigate that cultural risk with another action?
We
Boom,
want
we're going to rename him Mic Drop.
All right, guys.
Well done. All right, let's get out of here.
Six.
That's it. Hey, thanks for getting our 6. We'll always get yours. I don't know. Was that cool? Was that dumb?
I like it.
I think it was dumb.
I like it. We'll work
Oh,
on
that's
it.
fine. That's fine.
Until next time, can you guys hit me with a "we gotta go"? We
I
gotta
love
go.
that. Do you like
Gotta
the,